I'm here again with the final video in my YouTube series on the Big Six at Prog Rock. And today we're ending on a high note with one of the genre's most pioneering and influential bands of all time, King Crimson. Now this band didn't just help define progressive rock, they were there at the very birth of the movement, shaping its DNA with their radical approach to the composition and improvisation and musical intensity. Now in this episode, we'll be diving deep into the explosive nature of In the Court of the Crimson King and its lasting impact. Robert Fripp and his role as the band's constant visionary and innovator. The band's ever-changing lineup and the shifting sound across the decades. And how King Crimson's approach to experimentation and complexity changed progressive rock forever. Now, from their groundbreaking debut to their ever-evolving lineup, King Crimson remained a powerful force of music, continuing to influence generations of musicians. Their journey begins in 1969 when guitarist Robert Fripp and drummer Michael Giles joined forces with Greg Lake, Ian MacDonald and lyricist Peter Sinfield to form a band like no other. Their debut album, In the Court of the Crimson King, and this wasn't just an album, it was a statement. Released in October of that year, its bold fusion in symphonic elements, jazz, rock and avant-garde experimentation stunned the music world. Tracks like 21st Century Schizoid and Epitaph were unlike anything we'd heard before. With complex rhythms, dark themes and sweeping mellotron orchestrations, the album became an instant classic and is still considered one of the most influential prog albums of all time, some record. Now this wasn't just progressive rock, this was music that pushed the boundaries of what rock could be, blending genre-defining elements with an uncompromising vision. But as with many pioneering bands, internal tensions soon took their toll, and after just one album, the original lineup began to fracture, with Greg Lake leaving to form Emerson, Lake and Palmer from the last video. And this marked the first of many lineup changes that would come to define King Crimson history. Now, despite these early departures, Robert Fripp simply kept King Crimson alive, constantly rebuilding the band with new musicians and pushing their sound in unexpected directions. Throughout the 70s, Crimson's music evolved through various phases, from a more jazz and classical inspired sound on albums like Lizard and Islands, to the blistering experimental fusion of Lark's Tongues in Aspic, which introduced violinist David Cross and the explosive percussion of Bill Bruford. During this time, Fripp established himself not only as a leader, but as the heart and mind of King Crimson, his guitar work and visionary approach guiding the band's ever-shifting sonic landscape. And the band's mid-70s trio of albums, Lark's Tongues, Starless and Bible Black and Red, are now regarded as some of the most daring and innovative works in the prog rock canon. With tracks that blended heavy metal, jazz and avant-garde textures, King Crimson set the standard for what progressive truly meant. But by the end of 1974, Fripp disbanded King Crimson once again, bringing what many thought was the end of the group. However, as we've seen with Fripp, endings are often just new beginnings. So in the 1980s, King Crimson returned with a brand new lineup and a drastically different sound. Fripp had brought in Adrian Belew on guitar and vocals, Tony Levin on bass, and the ever-present Bill Bruford on drums, to form what's often referred to as the Discipline era. That 1981 album marked a radical departure from the dark, heavy sound of the 70s Crimson. Now incorporating elements of new wave, minimalism, and those African rhythms, the band embraced a more angular, precise sound, with Belew's distinctive vocal style adding quite a fresh dimension. Now, this new incarnation demonstrated Fripp's ability to adapt to changing musical landscapes while maintaining the band's experimental edge. Albums like Beat, Three of a Perfect Pair, these explored this new sonic territory, attracting a whole new audience to the world of King Crimson. The band went through several hiatuses and reconfigurations throughout the 90s and into the 21st century, but their reputation for unpredictability and artistic integrity never waned. Albums like Thrack and The Power to Believe demonstrated that the band still had plenty to say, blending their complex, layered soundscapes with quite a fierce intensity and relentless creativity. At the heart of Crimson's longevity is Robert Fripp, and his unique approach to both music and leadership. By constantly surrounding himself with top-tier musicians, whether it was Bruford, Levin, or later players like Gavin Harris and Jaco Jaksics, Fripp ensured that King Crimson remained not just relevant, but vital. The band's music continued to evolve, with live performances becoming legendary for their improvisational energy and virtuosic musicianship. Even today, King Crimson stands as a testament to the power of constant reinvention and artistic fearlessness. Their influence can be heard in countless genres, from metal to indie rock, and their music continues to challenge and inspire both musicians and listeners alike. And with that, we conclude not only King Crimson's story, but our series on the Big Six of prog rock. From the boundary-pushing early days of In the Court of the Crimson King to their ever-evolving modern sound, King Crimson have left an indelible mark on the musical world. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the giants of progressive rock. It's been an amazing ride exploring the stories and sounds that shape one of the most innovative genres in musical history. I really hope you've enjoyed. I put all the videos into a playlist for your convenience, and I look forward to your company on the video on screen now, which was one of the first in the series.